Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I am going to attempt to make Martha Stewart's biscuits. It's a little bit of a bigger batch, but that's okay because you can freeze them. I make my own biscuits, but I thought, why not? I wanted to try hers, so I thought, let me bring you all on so you can see how it turns out. So yes, this is the Martha Stewart biscuits. I'm going to need 4 cups of flour. So let me do that. Got my big old jug here. I keep my flour. This is how I measure flour. Perfect every time. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's the flour. So let me put this big heavy jar back. This holds like 100 pounds of flour. So we're going to put that back. I do have it in a sifter so that you can see that. And next we're going to need 4 teaspoons of baking powder. So let me find my baking powder. 4 teaspoons, not tablespoons. Let me take out my little tag that's inside here. I showed you this in a tour of how I store all my stuff. This is my baking powder. Let me grab my measuring spoons. And we need the right spoon, first off. 4 teaspoons of baking powder. One, 2, 3, 4. So there's the 4 teaspoons of baking powder. And then we're going to need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So let me move that. Let's get the baking soda. Don't forget, with baking, especially if it's not your recipe, you have to measure everything so that you don't make a mistake. I've already tried her recipe and put 4 tablespoons of baking powder and caught myself after I did it and then just threw it out and figured start all over. Okay, so we did the 4 cups of the flour, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Now I need 1.5 teaspoons of salt. There's the half, and we need a 1 teaspoon, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So just put into that. My oven is preheating 375. And what else? 1 teaspoon of sugar, which I don't really like a lot of sugar in my biscuits, but it's not too bad. It's just 1 teaspoon of sugar. Okay. I do have 2 sticks of butter right here that came right out of my freezer. Because you have to keep the butter has to be cold. Okay. So it'll be 2 sticks of butter and then 2 cups of buttermilk. I had buttermilk, but it just expired. So I don't know if you know this little trick. This is my 2 cups of milk with 1 tablespoon of real lemon juice in there. Gave it a stir. And we now have buttermilk. Right there. Forgot to put my tag back into my baking powder. So let me do that real quick before I forget what it is. Okay. We are going to whisk all of it together. So let me move the buttermilk. Whisk, whisk, whisk. Sometimes I just shake it on the bowl if my arms are extremely sore. Looks like it's snowing. So you just want to whisk it all together. We're almost there. I hope that you guys can see this. That's what it's looking like. I also am using kosher salt. That was the 1.5 teaspoons, and voila, that is done. I put it on this cookie sheet. I'm going to end up using it in the oven anyway. Let me pull you back some. This cookie sheet, just to try to contain some of my mess. Sorry about my voice, but I'm still battling some type of a cold or something. No idea. Okay. Let me go grab, or did I grab it already? Shoot, I always try to be prepared before I turn on the camera. Let me grab my pastry cutter, even though you really could take a little bit of the flour and the butter, and you could put it in a food processor and then just dump it back in. We might as well get an arm workout today. So let me see if my pastry cutter is where it's supposed to be. So in case you don't know what a pastry cutter is, this is a pastry cutter. You can also take 2 butter knives and cut it in that way. I might do some by the pastry cutter, and I might show you her little trick that I saw her do. We'll see how it goes. Okay. So the 2 sticks of butter have to be completely cold. So let's get the butter opened. These were frozen. All my friends thought I was crazy when I stocked up on a gazillion boxes of butter that were on sale at Aldi's, probably a little bit before Thanksgiving. And 3 of us made a trip, and I still have a good bit of butter. So you want to get a sharp knife. This is what I do. Let me move the bowl out of the way. I'll move this up. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. All I did was open the butter. Like I said, mine is frozen. So you're going to need a sharp knife. You want to cut it in half. Take that half, cut it down the middle. You could probably cut it into thirds, 1/2. Because you want smaller pieces in the biscuits. Okay, let me show you what I did. This is how I cut the butter into 3, because it's frozen. Now I'm going to cut them into little pieces. And I'll do the same thing to the next stick. Little pieces, because when it goes into the flour, you want to get the butter incorporated until it gets like a grainy look to it. Almost like cornmeal, but not exactly like cornmeal. And like I said, this is a bigger batch. So there's a lot going on here that I will make a video on soon. But I thought, why not try her biscuit? You get a lot out of it. And that would probably come in handy lately. Between being sick and busy is an understatement. But I will be doing a separate video on the changes that are coming up. This is the second stick, same thing. I'm just going to cut it in half. And in half again. Doesn't matter if you get 3. And then I go down each one. You could also have just grated this, which that's what I was going to do, but it literally just slips my mind. But if you have frozen butter, you can grate the butter right into the flour, which is an excellent way of doing it. I guess I'm going to get my workout in today. I mean, I normally grate mine in when it's frozen like that, but we're going to do Martha Stewart's Southern Biscuits her way. So that's the 2 sticks of butter. And then, like I said, let me bring the bowl back. Here, I'll show you what the butter looks like. Sorry about the glare. That's the 2 sticks of butter that I diced very finely. And now, let me raise you up just a tiny bit without putting my fingers in the way. Oops. Sorry, guys. Okay, you may have to deal with my fingers for 1 second. There we go. There we go. Okay. I am going to move this out of the way, just temporarily. Let me bring out my rag. I like to clean up as I go along, because if not, things can become out of hand, especially if you have a small kitchen like I do. Okay. Now, I am going to do what she suggested in her video, which I normally wouldn't. I am going to move my Ninja over to here so you guys can see. I'm going to plug it in. You want to take a whisk, even though you sifted everything, and just whisk through everything to make sure it's all fully incorporated, like such. And then you're going to put some of the flour with the butter, all the butter, in a food processor like that. And then you're just going to pulse it until it mixes up with the butter, and then you're going to put it back into here. So let's just do that. We're taking a shortcut. Let me grab a 1 cupper. You could take like 1 cup of the flour, put it into the food processor, or 2 cups of the flour. We will leave the rest in there. And I'm going to get all my butter in there the best I can. Probably should have grabbed a butter knife. Here, let me grab this knife. That's the oven telling me that it's preheated. So that's the first stick of butter. That's ice cold. It's in the food processor. Let's get the other one in there as well. It's pretty much a little bit of a shortcut if you're making like a huge batch. So, and then yeah, all she says to do is to put flour in the food processor, then and with the butter, and then pulse it. So if you don't have a Ninja product, they're loud. So bear with me, guys. We're gonna pulse this. tossed it a few times. I just want to take a look at it very quickly. Let me bring y'all in so you could see. You want the flour and the butter. Can you see the little bits of butter? You want it to be a little grainy. So that was a little bit of a shortcut. If not, you would have just used the pastry cutter to cut the butter in, which I've done a gazillion times. So let me put you in a good spot. And then she says you can just dump it right into the flour mixture that you left inside your bowl. So it was a little bit of a shortcut. Not too bad. Now let me move this bulky appliance out of your way so you can see the next steps. Put this lid in the sink. And now you can just take your pastry cutter and what you just mixed in the food processor that you pulsed a few times, you can just run your pastry cutter through to make sure that it's fully incorporated on the other 2 cups of flour that were on the bottom. Now, the trick to these biscuits, and usually any biscuits, even my own biscuits, is to not overmix once you put your liquids in there. So, we will make do with where I stick you guys because I'm going to be using this half of the counter. And there you go. There's barely any butter that was stuck to that. So that is not too shabby. Now we're going to put our 2 cups, this is ice cold, our 2 cups of our homemade buttermilk right into the center, like that. And I think I may just take my hand. Hopefully you can see this. I'm just going to start bringing it together. It's going to get a little messy, but that's okay. Just until you can get it to come together somewhat in a ball. It doesn't have to be a total ball. I'm just going ever so lightly in the bowl to make sure that at least the buttermilk is mixed in and that there's not any extra flour on the bottom of the bowl. Should have pulled out my scraper. Because if you want really tender, flaky bagels, oh my goodness, biscuits, you don't want to over mix. So that is looking like it's pretty good to me. So let me go get some flour to put down right here on this counter with my yucky hands. I'm going to put a little bit of flour down on the counter. If I could pull you guys back some more so that you can see. It's going to take you back probably a little far just for this part. Let's see if I can zoom in. There we go. Okay. I am basically just spreading out the flour. And I am going to get all of this out of the bowl to my best ability. And I have to sprinkle a little flour on my hands. I don't want to leave any inside the bowl. So let me put, yikes, a little bit of flour on my hand just to get it off. just going into the bowl and taking out any that is left. And I think that that is good. Now this is the part where you just want to be uber careful not to over mix. I still have flour on my hands, but that's okay. Just sprinkle a little flour in your own hands. And it will come off. Then you just want to lightly, let me move this. You just want to lightly start bringing it together. It is going to be sticky, so just have patience. The less you mess with it, the better it'll be. But I wanted to just give it a few little kneads because it was in the bowl. You can flatten it with your hands. You can use a rolling pin. As you saw, I didn't mix that for very long whatsoever. All I'm doing now is just spreading them out. And let's see if I can get some more off my hands and attach it to the dough. I'm going to give my hands a quick washing. Get the excess off. And we are getting ready to make some biscuits. It's going to take too long. It'll probably take longer for me to get this off my hands. Doesn't need to be perfect. Okay. I am going to bring you guys back. In hopes that you can see right there. Okay, now what you can do is you can measure from the side to know if your biscuit dough is where it should be. It also will push it in a little bit. Like I said, this is the type that you don't want to really mess with too much. And it depends on how thick you want your biscuits. So that looks about right to me on that side. Good. And that's how I measure my biscuits. It's by going around the whole thing, and if it comes up to the white, I have about the size that I need. You can also use this size biscuit cutter, which is a little bit smaller. I am using the larger biscuit cutter. Remove this bowl, put it in the sink. You have a tiny kitchen, you can have 4 things in your sink and suddenly it looks like your kitchen's trashed. It's just my opinion. I wonder if I could bring you guys right. I'm going to adjust you so that you can see the cutting of the biscuits. I'm going to get my cookie sheet ready. How is that? These are on my phone on a tripod today. So, some people put down parchment paper. I'm not really going to do that, but one thing I do need to do is we want to melt some butter. With a pastry brush. You can either do milk on the tops of your biscuits if you want. This is a pastry brush, in case nobody knows. You can do milk on the top, but I feel like that's more of like a sweeter type of biscuit. If you're making like strawberry shortcake, maybe that'd be great for. But I'm going to put some butter in a bowl, and I am going to start to melt the butter. And I happen to have a crazy microwave that Does not like when I melt butter, so let's put a lid over that. Usually it makes funny noises. Okay, so there are our biscuits. The oven's preheated. The tacky part is just from the part that was off my fingers. So you just want to put a little flour on your hands. You also want to dip your little tool inside there. Now here's the trick. Try to push down and don't drag it. You just want to push it down and pull it away. When you tend to twist it, drag it, you don't get as fluffy as a biscuit, from what I'm aware of, because I used to be that person that used to stick it down, twist it around. Let me see if the butter's done. Let's check. Almost. Another 30 seconds. Not even. Okay, so you want to dip it in. You want to push it down. See, I'm not turning it, I'm just pushing it away. And there's our first biscuit. Looks a little off, but it has the ridges on it. Sort of like a pancake. The first one never comes out the greatest. Just push it down. See how I'm not turning it? Just push it away. Like such. Mine's starting to stick. Even though I really wanted to put just a little bit of flour down. I need to not have my biscuit cutter stick, so you just, but I'm never twisting it. Let me show you the biscuit up close. Beautiful. Push it down. As you see, I don't twist. There we go. I'll put these other pieces together so we can get more biscuits out of it. Re-dip. Push it down. Push it away. Definitely does much better every time I dip it. There we go. Push it down. Pull it away. These are thick little biscuits, let me tell you. Now you want to take the rest of your dough. You want to bring it together. Just quickly give it a little kneading. You can do the same thing if you want and measure. Might not be exact, but we will get some more biscuits out of the leftover. Don't put your biscuits too close to each other. Give them a little bit of room. And then you can do the same thing, because waste not, want not. Let's get some more flour down here. It's still a little sticky, but it's okay. Never twist. Even on the last one, I just continuously just keep shaking it until it comes off. And we probably could get maybe one more. Let's see. Might not be as thick, because these are definitely maybe thicker biscuits, but that's okay. Dip that. Yep, there we go. So you basically just want to make sure that you have them spread out. You can use parchment paper. I'm not. I'm just sprinkling a little bit of flour down. Under each one. And that's it. Let me scrape some of this off my hand so I can bring you in a little closer and show you. These are the beautiful Martha Stewart biscuits. This one's a little off right there, but who cares? They look good. So now I'm going to move these over to here with the stove. Try to lower that. And I am going to move this stuff out of the way because we need to put the butter on the top. I'm letting them rest for a minute. And what did I do with, guess I lost it. Okay. I was looking for my rag, but that will do for now. We want to get the butter out of the microwave. Let me grab a little towel to get it out of there. Might have did it an extra 30 minutes too long, but that's okay. So I'm pretty sure mine was a 2.5-inch biscuit cutter. And yeah, that's the one that I use. That's the one that she recommends. She absolutely says in her recipe that you can look up online or on YouTube to do not overmix. I definitely didn't overmix. She also said you could put butter or milk or egg wash on it. I'm going for butter. My oven's on 375 and these will bake for 18 to 20 minutes. So let's give the butter a little stir. We're just gonna go over each one with the butter, which will give them a nice brown type of color. Golden brown biscuits. I've seen some people push them down, flatten them so that the butter can be right like in a hole on the top. That's not even how I make my own biscuits. Pretty simple. You just want to coat. There is something on my brush which looks like a speck of pepper. Let me pull it off of there. Okay, got it. Yeah, you just want these to be golden brown. Just dollop them up. Nothing better than a buttery biscuit, in my opinion. And then just go over and double check. See if any of them need a little bit more butter. I don't think so. I think that that's good. So I'm going to put them in the oven. Let me show you what they look like. I definitely must have stuck my brush in the pepper. Not that that's a bad thing, but one of my biscuits had pepper on it. So let me bring them in so you can see what they look like. Nice and buttery biscuits. They're going to go in the oven now for 18 to 20 minutes. And as soon as I bring them out, I will show you what they look like. I figured we'd check in on the biscuits. They're looking good. They have a few more minutes to go. And when they're done, I will bring you back so you can see how they turned out. Okay, so let's go check and see how they're doing, because they've already went past the 1 timer without fogging up my camera. They look like they are just about there. Now, if you want them golden brown, like real dark on the top, you can leave them in longer. Let me sit you back here. This, you may be wondering what this is. You will find that out on the next video that I will be posting after this. For, what is it called? Let me think a second. I'm having a brain freeze. It is going to be for Cast Iron Wednesday. I don't know if that still exists, but I am going to do something for Cast Iron Wednesday. I will take it closer. If you have any guesses what that may turn into, leave me a comment down below. I would be quite curious to hear your responses. But yeah, they're just about done. I don't like my biscuits super dark, so I'm going to get ready to take them out. And yeah, let me grab pot holders and take a look, see how they are. There you have it. Now, like I said, you can leave them in longer so that you can get them a little bit more brown, but that's pretty brown to me. And they look amazing. They rose pretty good. This one rose so high that it almost split and toppled over. But there you have it, guys. That is the Martha Stewart Southern Biscuits. I think it's under, or it is just under Martha Stewart Biscuits. It's a kind of old video. I used to really like her back in the day. And I like biscuits, and I wanted to try a different kind other than my own. So I wanted to share this recipe with you guys. I will have another recipe following. If you can guess what it is, leave me a comment down below. And yeah, there's the biscuits, and I will leave the recipe down below in the description box. And thank you guys for joining me. They turned out, they look pretty fabulous. Let's try to pull a bottom and see. Pretty brown on the bottom too. So these are going to be amazing. I'm not going to eat one on camera. Only because my throat has been bothering me a little bit, and I have plans for these biscuits. So there you have it, guys. I guess I could tell you, which I really got to stop doing that, telling the recipe again. But for you guys, I will do it. So you're going to need 4 cups of flour, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, a teaspoon of baking soda, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, a teaspoon of sugar. Whisk it all together. You can also do what I did, which was, strain it or use a sifter, flour sifter. And then it's 2 sticks of butter, cold or frozen. And you could also do what I did, which was put most of the flour and all the butter in a food processor. Just pulsed it a few times and then mixed it all up with the rest of the butter, the flour in the bowl. It's 2 cups of buttermilk. Remember, don't overmix. And you should be able to get 2-inch biscuits. Put your oven on 375 for 18 to 20 minutes. And your choice, you can brush it with milk or butter or egg. I decided to do butter because I wanted butter biscuits. And there you have it, guys. That's the Martha Stewart biscuits. And let me move this placemat. And they came out looking pretty amazing, I might add. Let me lift it up so you get another good look. There they are. So I will leave the recipe down in the description below. Try them out. Subscribe, smash the like button, and until next time, I bless you.